Morning, everybody, on a Friday, November the 28th, Black Friday, 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Jeff and Bill back on Monday. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here on 710 KNUS. We have a caller on hold. We got a newscast coming, but I just listened to a promo with Larry Elder, and it's not true. I mean, it's like this whole idea of stealing the election. And he says, well, these Republicans aren't called election deniers. Look, if you know the story of what happened with Hillary Clinton, and they were in the Javits Center, and she was starting to apparently have a little bit too much to drink and started saying the election was stolen, and it was Barack Obama that stepped in and said, you got to call Donald Trump. And she didn't want to do it, and she was too cooked to do it. And she couldn't do it, and it was Obama that said, no, nobody stole anything from you. And they left it go. And they didn't go out there and do the nonsense that was done, having somebody called an election denier. That stuff was over pretty quick. And they didn't operate on that. They didn't function that way either. But if you want to look for somebody that said, okay, we're going to end this, it was Obama making the phone call. And that ended all of that. Who do I got here? Do I got the man with me? Ladies and gentlemen, Gary the caller is still with me. Gary, go ahead, and then we'll go to Blake for a report. But Gary, you dropped off when we were talking about the American Civil War. Fair enough, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, if you will.
I was just commenting on how similar it is to what's going on now. It's just kind of twisted in a way, like with the people coming in and the open borders. It's like they're the Confederacy again, and that's their freight, and all these congressmen and senators are their conductors, so to speak, and it speaks to the writings of the newspapers during that time in the 1860s, right? It talks of the Spanish newspapers and their comments, and half America wanted to hire their servants for life, and half of America want to hire them by the hour, so to speak.
But remember this about reading history. It's repetitive. It spits out the same thing again and again and again and again. So, the repetitiveness of history is a study, and the unintended consequences of history are another study. But to find similarities, that's what historians do, and you just did it. So good for you. But what the question was that time, the outcome is the American Civil War.
Yes.
Do you think?
And the other side, they surrendered, so to speak, or did they? I don't know.
You can ask them.
With what the president did at the time and after the Reconstruction, it just is for naught, I guess.
But that's what I come to. Very good. But Johnson, the first Johnson, and who almost gets kicked out of office, as you know, and then what that leads to is of course, U.S. Grant. He's next. And he was, you could build the case that perhaps was one of the most corrupt presidents, if not the most corrupt president the country's ever had. But
earlier you were speaking to the World War II and all its officers. Well, nobody was reprimanded for what happened to the Civil War and the great loss of life. I mean,
no.
Jefferson Davis only did 2 years in prison.
Yes.
And there was nothing. And then people, now 100 years later, and then we go to 1965 to now, another 60 years later, and another president, in his own words, he said that the people will vote for them for another 100 years if they pass this welfare stuff.
And who said that?
And look at where we're... Lyndon B. Johnson,
That's right.
The second Southern president at that time, besides Mr. Johnson.
But remember, Lyndon Johnson is accidental. In other words, he wins on...
So what?
Yeah, no, I understand so what, but
so was Johnson.
That's my point. They were accidental when Mr. Lincoln was murdered. And so... Yeah, I mean...
wanting to make the country great, right?
Well, Abraham Lincoln is arguably, along with George Washington, probably the two greatest presidents in our country's history.
They wanted to expand the Union and make it great.
Yeah. And Abraham Lincoln's... what happened to Abraham Lincoln well, you can make the case also happened to Jack Kennedy. Is it true?
It just, I don't know. It's just.
That's why. That's why you
If
read
you
it.
read it, pushes you to think, like, if they don't want to go along with the program, they're going to just get rid of them.
Well, that's the question now, isn't it?
Yes, and it's right in front of everybody's faces, and no one sees it. It seems like not the important people, anyway.
Who do you think is? How old are you, by the way? Let me ask you that. How old are you?
I'm in my 60s.
Okay. Who do you think is the 5 most important people? I was going to say in this country, but I'll go the world. Who do you think are the 5 most important? Because you've lived something. You're 60. You've watched this. Who do you think are the 5 most important or 4 most important people in the world as we speak?
The people that have a finger for a button, them are the most 5 important. As far as I'm concerned,
right.
as far as the world's concerned.
You put a name on them?
I can't put a name on them.
Well, all right, how about where they live?
They live all sorts of different places.
No, you're
I guess.
great. You're great. You're a great call. So.
Well, no, I just concerned.
No, you should be. That's why you're reading.
Scary, man.
No, of course it is.
We have kids that are younger, and with the schools. And,
sure. And that's why, there's court historians, and then there's, we were talking this morning and bringing it up again about the unintended consequences. What was done by Cheney and Bush in Afghanistan, and ultimately brought that killer here, who killed that young woman in from West Virginia and shot her colleague in Washington, D.C. And he's here not because there wouldn't be an Afghan in this country if it wasn't for Bush and Cheney. And they lied. Are you sick of being lied to?
And I think the American public and our representatives, they need to stress the fact that we do have immigration, because I worked with a lot of people,
this isn't
that were here.
You're right. This is immigration. He was here legally.
No, I mean, but there is that. So
no, my point.
The people that are trying to make us voters like hate each other, so to speak.
Yeah.
With they're against brown people and they're against this and they're against that. No. It's just like if we have a 7-Eleven and a school across the street, you can only allow 2 at a time, or else the store would just fail, right? To make it in simple,
I tell you what,
terms.
I love your call. It was a great call. I have to do the news report with Blake, but you asked all the right questions. You really did.
Thank you, Peter.
Please take care of yourself. Talk to you. Thanks, son. All right, everybody. Let's do this. The Olson Report is ready. Blake is ready. All's well in the world. Hit the button.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Great open. Huh?
That's awesome.
Got that great open.
Got the great voice.
Did you have
got a great voice.
Did you have input in that when that was made?
No, that was, I don't know if that was Kelly or Mark Crowley or one of the geniuses. Adam, who I don't know.
He's got those pipes.
That's right.
God.
Adam's got great pipes.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
He's got a great personality too. I love
This has really been an interesting morning to talk. I think it's a Friday, so only the people that
great show.
Yeah, they want to be here. And
hey,
yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What was that question? I got the tail end of it. You asked who are the 5 people right now,
and do we know them?
This is what has haunted me the past few weeks. General McGregor said this. I'm going to play it for you.
All right.
I may have an answer because I think he's onto something there.
I think.
Oh, the lady who got the Nobel Peace Prize in Venezuela. She said if they are able to overturn the government there, whatever, they're going to send the embassy to Israel, right? So then General McGregor says this about that.
She's hit on something very important. She's figured out where the power lies, and she's playing to the audience that makes the decisions. You're talking about this democracy business. We've always been a republic with limited democracy.
Yep.
But I think we can pretty much conclude that we're ruled now by a small group of extraordinarily wealthy people.
Yep.
Billionaire oligarchs.
Yep.
Those are the terms they use in Eastern Europe and places like Ukraine.
Sure.
So that's.
But has that always been?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I don't think so.
Well,
but then again, maybe since 1913.
Well, but the great conspiracy that we're often on talking about, John Kennedy in Dallas, and who made that decision?
Right. Exactly.
And if you knew, even if you knew the names of the 5 most powerful people in the world, would you even know who they are?
I don't think so.
See?
Right.
No, seriously.
No, it scares me to death. Like your caller just said, I'm right there with
smart
him.
Man. How about the idea, like with organized crime, they never, back the old traditional organized European-style gangsters, they didn't want you to know who they were.
Exactly.
Never. And that was one of the things they got mad at John Gotti about.
Yep.
That he was out in the open wearing the flashy suits and doing the rest of that stuff. No, he was. And
he was the billboard.
He brought him down.
Yeah,
he brought him down. You don't know. Do you know who the Chinese tongs are? Because I don't.
No.
Do you know who runs the cartels? Because I don't.
I don't either.
There it is. And the one guy you did know was Pablo Escobar. Look what happened to Pablo.
Yeah, that's right.
Chapo Guzman. What happened to Chapo?
That's exactly right.
So, no, the people that I think that are the kingpins of this, you don't know who they are.
And that's why we're in a situation right now where I think maybe, I don't know how many Americans, maybe half of the Americans, like you and me, that's what we need to know. That's what has to be solved. But can it be solved?
No.
Will it just continue?
Or does it just move?
Or moves? Yeah, see, that's another thing. It's like the invisible blob.
You don't see it.
Don't see it. What part of what continent is it going to be in next?
No, I firmly believe there's a lot of the world that operates exactly like that. That you don't that you don't know, won't know, and nobody's ever going to tell you.
Anytime you go to a third world country or developing nation, I mean, you're like,
how about
what year
this
is it? What's happening here?
How about this one? Are you sick of being lied to?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I am sick and tired of being lied to.
No doubt.
And it just continues.
It does.
And it's as long as it continues, it's not. I mean, this way, it's not going to end. This government has lied to you and your family and your folks and your relatives for so many years that they can't tell the truth.
Yeah.
And if they did, scare the hell out of you. You go.
And the truth tellers will have to be the ones who don't care if they live or die.
That's it. And
live free or die.
Well, that's a line from Harley Davidson.
Yeah, that's right. and on New Hampshire license plates.
That's right. Live free or die.
Yeah.
Do the report, my boy. Thanks.
All right. Good. Yep. Good morning. It's Friday, 27, and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 60 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, in a shocking surge to some, DJT's tariff revenues hit a new record of $34.2 billion in October, defying the experts. The total for fiscal year 2025, $215.2 billion, which is recorded only through September 30th. Today is the official kickoff to the holiday gift buying season. There are already lines at a few locations around Denver. In D.C.,
so let's stop namby-pambing around with this, he was vetted. There was no vetted. The welcome mat was thrown down. They even admitted that they short-circuited the vetting. What they did was they brought in 90,000 people into this country that were not vetted.
Judge Jeanine Pirro, the suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard members on the streets of D.C., is now facing a murder charge. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Pirro announced the upgraded charge this morning following the death of Sarah Beckstrom. The other guardsman shot in the incident, Andrew Wolf, remains hospitalized in critical condition. The suspect, an Afghan national who worked with the U.S. to fight the Taliban, is still in the hospital as well. Pirro said the guard members were sworn in less than 24 hours before the Wednesday shooting.
They told us all the other immigrants were vetted. What do? Call the FBI in Afghanistan and say, gee, do you have anything on this guy? Did we call Venezuela and say, gee, how about your criminal justice system? What can you tell me about this guy? It's like the 10, 20 million illegals who've been let into this country. We don't know who they are until we suffer the consequences that we have seen in Washington. And I was on that scene, and it is a very sad place. And Sarah Beckstrom and her family did not deserve this.
No, they did not. DJT says the U.S. could very soon take action against alleged Venezuelan drug traffickers on land. So far, the military operations have focused on drug boats in the Caribbean Sea, and not a big fan, I have to say, of the land thing. When Lindsey Graham is cheering it on, very, very skeptical. Denver police investigating a deadly crash involving a fuel tanker that happened Thursday afternoon on Yale near I-25. The driver of the tanker died at the scene. The crash caused a fuel spill that crews worked to contain Thursday afternoon, and no information about the driver or the cause of the crash has been released. Colorado lawmakers paying tribute to one of their colleagues after her death on Wednesday. Democratic State Senator Faith Winter was killed in a multi-vehicle crash on I-25 near Centennial. Senator Cleve Simpson said Winter was a bridge builder who worked tirelessly to forge strong partnerships with her Republican counterparts. Huge rivalries today in college football to go along with your leftovers. Number 3, Texas A&M at number 16, Texas. Georgia takes on Georgia Tech, Arizona, and Arizona State. Michigan, Ohio State is tomorrow, and CU at Kansas State to wrap up their season tomorrow morning as well. Spurs at the Nuggets tonight. They start this little NBA Cup thing, but it's another game. Spurs and the Nuggets tonight at 7 o'clock. Avs at the Wild today. NHL action at 1:30. The Chiefs at the Cowboys. And how about the Cowboys? 31-28 winners. Chiefs now 6-6. Could be problems for them. Joe Burrow returns. And the Bengals beat the Ravens 32-14. The Ravens now 6-6. They're going to have a tough road to hoe the rest of the way. To get to the postseason, the Lions and the Packers 31-24 Green Bay, and the Packers 8-3-1, the Lions 7-5. 26 in Thornton and 25 in Centennial, 27 in Denver. Pete is in for Jeff and Bill, and the legend continues. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It'll be mild with a lot of high and mid-level clouds in Denver today. By evening, though, the weather will change. A cold front will come out of Wyoming going down I-25. Much colder tonight, a low near 20. Overnight, a chance of developing light snow. Light snow showers Saturday morning, much colder tomorrow. Highs only low 30s, gusty northeast winds down into the teens Saturday night. Mostly cloudy and cold Sunday into Sunday night with light snow or flurries with another system passing through. High Sunday upper 20s, low Sunday night, low to mid-teens. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Morning, everybody. It's a Friday morning, Black Friday, November 28, 2025, 710 KNUS. Peter Boyle, 60 will be the high. Tonight it drops. 31 snow tomorrow, 17 tomorrow night, and 28 on Sunday. 303-696-1971. Adam and I were talking to one another during the pause. Everything that we are talking about this morning is about lies. And who tells those lies? The federal government tells those lies. Who are you going to call? Not the federal government. So we opened the show talking, I wanted to do a Kennedy show, and it kind of stayed with us and then got away from us a little bit as well. But I wrote these sort of statements down on my worksheets, the significance of the JFK assassination and a political and a constitutional impact, but better yet, social and cultural, maybe spiritual impact of that murder and the everything that comes from it, and what Lyndon Johnson does, and then of course what the country does, and then on to Nixon and what Nixon does, and of course Nixon consummately, and just telling lies. The other story we're talking about this morning is one of the two West Virginia National Guards members shot by the Afghan national has died. That's a lie. It's Dick Cheney and George Bush lied to you. When 9/11 happened, the greater weight lies on the Saudi Arabians. They're the ones that did it. That conduit ran right into Bandar Bush, and how they shepherded the Sauds out of the country from the racehorse auctions and got them out of here, and then all of it. And then a handful of people, certainly less than 20 people, living in Bora Bora, living in the caves, planned this. And they're, and their Saudi partners. So what does Bush and Cheney do? Do they spread the war? Of course they do. They go after Saddam. Saddam had nothing to do with this. Another lie. The lies that continue. Richard Nixon's lies, Lyndon Johnson's lies. And the lies go on and on and on and on. And so here we are, sitting here this morning. It's the holiday season has begun, and lines are wide open right now, 303-696-1971. And we also talked about the Nuremberg laws and what came out of the principles of Nuremberg, talking about that Jason Crow video. But then ultimately, what really did happen, and why these perpetrators of the Holocaust claimed that they may have believed that they would be physically harmed if they didn't follow orders to participate in mass murder. But one thing you can be sure of, the Nazis did not harm those who refused. They did not. So then what did that say about their defense? I was responding to a text over that. But watching this, and are you sick and tired of being lied to? How do you know you're being lied to? And then the other question that came up with a caller, who runs the world? Who are the five most, or does anyone run the world? Or can someone run it, and do they run it? And are there people that you would pick their names and say, yeah, this is a guy that's involved in this? So we have open lines right now, 303-696-1971. If you were trying to call the show before and got a busy signal, pick up the phone. You can get right on the show now. Tomorrow, this really remarkable book, and Adam gave me this book, 2.5 months ago, entitled Family of Spies. And we've been waiting to get them on the show, and they're going to be on with us tomorrow. But the secret history and this family involved with not only the Nazis, but then working with the Japanese and working and helping out the Japanese strike Pearl Harbor. They're on the show tomorrow as well. So 303-696-1971, and the toy run's coming up on the Children's Hospital Toy Run, and we're going to celebrate some of the original guys who brought the toys on bikes to the downtown Children's before they moved out to Anschutz. All right, here we go. 303-696-1971. Gary in Denver, you're on the show. Good morning, and thanks for waiting.
Oh, hi, Pete. It's good to hear you on the radio.
Thank you, brother.
You were asking if Bush thought he had a piece of what happened.
Yeah, he's down at Crawford this morning, and this young woman's dead, shot by an Afghan. Do you think he thinks that he's got a hunk of that responsibility?
Probably not. And the other person who probably doesn't think he has a hunk of it is Dementia Don, our president.
I don't think, I'm not the greatest Trump fan in the world, but Donald Trump, when they did the Doha agreements, that they were going to not have any problems. And the Afghans, they really believed the Afghans would stand like the Arvin stood, at least give them a cushion. And that didn't happen. It folded. And they came in, but the program to welcome, what they called welcome allies or something, that was a Joe Biden program all the way. And I don't think it was Donald Trump at all.
Yeah, you must be aware that his asylum was granted this past April by the Trump administration.
Yeah, but the point is that they were here. And I'm not the guy that defends anybody, but what I'm saying to you is they were here. How long was that guy been in the country? 5 years?
Yeah, and it's hard to predict when someone's going to go off. It just is. So I don't necessarily have a problem with the Afghans that were allowed to come to our country. But what Donald Trump has done, is he set up that poor young woman to be shot. He created an environment.
You're talking about the woman that was killed in the West Virginia Guards woman that was killed in D.C.?
Yes, he set her up like a sitting duck. That's what Donald Trump did.
No, I don't believe he did. I don't believe that. Well, no, they're using the Guard for what they're using the Guard for. But if you think that individual young woman was somehow propped up to be killed by Donald Trump.
I think he created an environment in this country.
This guy drove from Bellingham, Washington. The guy drove all the way across the country to shoot a young woman in Washington, D.C. And Trump said, in fairness, how does Trump set that up?
Well, that's a good point. He obviously, to drive that far, he wanted to send a message. And the reason why he wanted to send that message is because of the way Trump is executing the mass deportation.
But these people are, the Afghans aren't part of this illegal population that people speak about. He was a welcome, what was it called? Welcome allies or something, some political nonsensical label put on that lift. And they came on C5As or something, and they came to the country.
But I could see him thinking that Donald Trump was going to deport him after he helped the United States because of the way Donald Trump is deporting everybody and anybody.
Like I said, I'm not a great defender of politicians, but I really don't see Donald Trump being responsible for this young woman's murder. This guy drove across the country. How many miles did he drive to get to D.C. And he's got he's got 5 kids and he's got his wife and 5 kids and they've been in Washington State for pushing 5 years.
Oh, I hear you loud and clear. He wanted to send a message to Donald Trump.
But what was the message?
The message was to stop doing these mass deportations of people who have done nothing other than to immigrate to the United States.
He was brought here. He's not an illegal.
Yeah, but the way Donald Trump changes the rules day by day and everything from tariffs to deportations, I can see him thinking, even though I came here in 2021 under the Biden administration, Trump could change the rules and deport me and my family. I could see him thinking that.
So I'll do that. I'll go shoot some young woman because Donald Trump could deport me.
Yes, to send Donald Trump a message.
Whew. Hi, man. 303-696-1971. That's tough. the video that we were talking about that also brought everybody in to talk about when I brought up Nuremberg and brought up, the principles are already established, was this. It was called seditious behavior and punishable by death by J.D. Vance, and he put that on X about if the president hadn't issued illegal orders and members of the Congress telling the military to defy the president. I mean, this is all nonsensical, and it's also very politicized. And the video itself, now, it's not seditious and it's not illegal, and there's no basis for the Pentagon to investigate, what was his face, Kelly, for being on the video. But it's just how raw politics, we just heard it, how raw politics have become. Who encourages unlawful action? And this video that came out by these members of Congress, what was the purpose? To give Donald Trump a hot foot. That's all it was. They were, smacking Donald Trump with their video. And I listened to a lot of talk radio, and I was going, come on, guys. And you have to understand, first of all, read Nuremberg. I would expect that would be part of what you did. But again, this defense, and we're hearing it again, that the Nazi defendants, by the way, including these high-ranking officials, argue that their actions were not their own, but they were the result of being ordered by their superior, i.e. the Fuhrer, and the other superiors. And they claimed that they were being trained to obey without question. And it was the International Military Tribunal, the IMT, rejects it and says, no, an individual cannot lose responsibility for crimes that violate the law. And the outcome, of course, was the ruling established that the superior orders were not a legal defense, and particularly if the order was manifestly unlawful, their choice of words. Here we are again, and I brought it up a couple times to callers. Who's right, who's wrong? And where are we when this happens? And then last but not least, but the overview was the Kennedy killing, the murder, the hit, the assassination of Jack Kennedy. And what significance do you tie onto that? There's an emotional part of this. There's also a cultural part and a social part, and it had an enormous impact for people that are my age and give or take older, a little bit younger. But boy, that just had tremendous impact. And the national mood, and people were angry. I remember the anger part of it so well. And Lyndon Johnson was then, and it's always interesting to me that Jack Kennedy was really pretty much focused on Cuba, wasn't he? And with his brother and the CIA and the rest of it, and the rogue factors of the CIA, and they were in bed with organized crime. We know all this. The minute that Jack Kennedy is killed, murdered, Lyndon Johnson begins Southeast Asia. They drop Cuba. Cuba is no longer on the screen, and it becomes where? Lyndon Johnson, Southeast Asia. Is there something that you can see in that? I certainly can. And so I know that it comes up with conspiracy radio and the rest of it that goes with it. But you guys, when you stop and think about it, it was Cuba, 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 Cuba. And all of a sudden it became Southeast Asia, almost literally overnight with Lyndon Johnson. Also, he does what he does to all the members of the old administration, of course, the Kennedys. But the whole part of this gets down to the lie, and the lie they're telling. We could take a call. We can do that? Okay. Back to the phones we go. We go to Jerry in Greeley. Hey, Jerry, you waited. Thanks. You're on the show.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, brother.
I just thought I'd mention a couple of previous incidents where the legality of refusing orders came up. Do you remember Michael New?
Absolutely.
Okay. So refused to put on the UN uniform?
Yep, put on the blue helmet.
Right.
And also the same one, it was Cali, the Cali trial.
Well, yeah, that was a big deal.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember the 29 Palms survey?
No, I don't.
There was a naval officer who did a survey at the 29 Palms base, surveyed everybody on base, and he asked them like 100 questions, but one of them was a theoretical about would they fire on American citizens if Congress ordered weapons confiscations of private weapons.
I remember that. I don't remember it under that name, but I do remember that. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Lieutenant Commander.
Hey, how about
Commander,
this? I got a minute. Let me throw you on hold so you have a full stroke here, okay? I got a break coming, and I don't want to interrupt you, so can I put you on hold and bring you back?
Sure.
You're on. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station, back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and that book is really spectacular. It's a good read, Families of Spies. 710 KNUS, I'm Peter Boyles. You ready? Hit the bricks, hit the button. And I will follow the man tomorrow morning, right after Johnny C., 9 a.m. We do a show, 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. It's Friday. Tomorrow, of course, Saturday. This is Black Friday. We have one line open, 303-696-1971. Go back to the phones. And Jerry and Greeley went on hold. And, Jerry, you're back up. It's yours.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, 1994, gentleman, Lieutenant Commander Guy Cunningham was doing his master's thesis. He was at the Army War College, I believe. Anyway, he surveyed the Marines at 29 Palms. And it was a period of time where people were seriously concerned about the federal government trying to seize personal weapons.
They still are.
from Americans.
Yeah,
well,
still are.
Yeah,
I have friends.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
But anyway, one of the questions on the survey was asking the Marines if they would fire on their neighbors, if they were ordered to. And roughly a fourth of them said, sure, no problem. And then quite a few more answered no opinion. So that was kind of taken as maybe 40%, being reliable.
And I remember when, I didn't know it at that name of the study, but I remember it. But if you take one of the most costly wars, if not the most costly war in our history, the American Civil War. And I'm trying to think who wrote the book. The book was entitled My Brother, My Enemy. And it was this, it was all pretty much historical psychology, but it was no problem. And families dissolved. I'm sure you have read much of that. And it, particularly at Gettysburg, when they would yell at each other at night, or they would cross over to see a classmate, or brother against brother, and the families broke up over the issue of states' rights and or slavery, or whatever the consequences or unintended consequences of it were. We had no problem doing that, and that's pretty haunting too when you think about it.
Well, just in general, my view is that overall, almost all soldiers can be relied upon to follow orders, whether they're constitutional or not. That's just the name of the game.
But what do you think then? And by the way, it's a great call. What do you think happened at Nuremberg?
I guess I'm not educated enough to voice an opinion on that,
Well,
Peter.
no, what I would urge you to do, and I'm not trying to be superior by any stretch, read it. Nuremberg trials followed the Second World War. And right now there's a film out about Hermann Göring and everything that went on, and about Göring was one of the few Nazis, the hierarchs, that really did make it. The rest of them either killed themselves or snuck away. But the main defense used at Nuremberg was the argument that these individuals were not responsible for their actions because they were just following orders from a superior. And it's called superior orders or Nuremberg defense. And it was rejected. You don't have that according to the Nuremberg trials. And it's what you're talking about. At the same time, on the other side of that, when we're talking about this video that dropped and that was labeled seditious behavior, what do you do? And who's right and who's wrong? And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just thought of one other interesting incident. You may be familiar with what a lot of people called the Green Beret affair during the Vietnam War.
Help me.
Well, basically, the CIA spooks ordered that a Viet Cong, or I guess NVA infiltrator had wormed his way into headquarters there and was leaking info, getting Americans killed. So the CIA ordered some Green Berets to off him, and they did. And then they came up on charges. And, their commander came up on charges, I should say. And
stood trial for murder. I know the story. Stood trial for murder. Yeah.
Right. And a bunch of Green Berets, at one point, they were basically saying, well, we're not going to put up with this. We're going to break him out of jail and do whatever we need to do. But it eventually got smoothed over.
But again, here's this moment. There was a takeout program. The CIA had a takeout program in Southeast Asia, and it was called Embassy House, where they were the takeouts. And from reading, the CIA recruited all kinds of different people back here in the U.S. to be, in essence, to be murderers. And there's all kinds of rumors of different well-known people, and I won't do it on the air, that were really in that program, and they were killers. And it came to pass that the United States CIA finds out that the South Vietnamese equivalents, the CIA and others, South Vietnamese CIA, they would take money and they'd put somebody on the list to be killed. And they did it. And all of a sudden it was, wow, look what we're doing. We're killing innocent people for money for them, which showed you really how corrupt the NVA was. And they ended the program. The program ended altogether. But it was under a jacket called Embassy House. And these guys were murderers. And they recruited here in the U.S. to use those people to do it. And as you know, the first time that the term black gangs was used, back to Kennedy. And the American CIA wanted to have an army, and sometimes they called it the Coca-Cola Army because they were going back to the island to get Coca-Cola machines, all kinds of covers. But they went into the prisons, into the jails, and they recruited these guys. And they became part of what became known as, they were the black budgets. If you're Senator Fogbreath or Congressman fill in the blank, you didn't see those budgets. Those budgets were high, tight, and they were kept in the hands of very few people, particularly the CIA. And so I guess I say to you this morning what I've asked a lot of people, and by the way, your call's great. You sick of getting lied to?
Well, I just kind of accept it as part of life nowadays.
No, that's really, that's very wise, because they're going to do it to you whether you like it or not. Remember that. No, seriously. But when you read, there's a wonderful book called Legacy of Ashes about the CIA, and I'm finishing it for the second time, and I really want to get this guy on the show, and I was thinking, how do we do it? Because I'm only doing a couple hours a week. Maybe we'll have him on 2 or 3 times to give a lecture for 3 weekends in a row. What they did, and what Bush and Cheney did, using the CIA to manufacture a war against Saddam Hussein, manufacture a war against these people in Afghanistan who didn't even know where New York City was. And I wonder this morning what George Bush must be thinking. Good call. Well,
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, we go long distance. Charles is in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Brother man, good morning. Welcome to Denver.
And brother man, to you, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.
I probably haven't spoken to you over 10 years. My phone number's changed. I'm retired now. I thought you had retired, but I'm glad to hear you back on the air.
Too dumb to retire. Go ahead.
If you'll give me just a bit of an intro, I want to commend you for your long service on talk radio. You and Rosen were easily the most formidable. You are the most intellectual formidable. I have always shied away from calling in to you. I used to get on Rosen once a month or so, Tubbs a month, once a month or so. I still am active on Capitalist, but you were always the most formidable, and I commend you, and I think you have a talent. You remind me of Larry King. I don't know if maybe you have leads on, and I know you probably don't even need the work or want the work, but if there was ever a syndicated type show who wanted a Larry King type person, you are the interviewer expert, in my opinion. You really bring it. You're well read. You're better read than most of us, and that's why I hesitate to even call you, my friend.
But remember this: I have nothing else to do, so it's like you're in the clear. And I've been given it, and I've said this thousands of times. I've been given the gift. It's a gift to read, and
Great.
starts and ends there. And we got about how close to we got looking at time. You know what I ought to do, Charles? Talk for about another minute, then I'll put you on hold and bring you back on the other side and give you time. Is that fair?
Sounds good. I want to say Sarah Beckstrom's name. I'm so sorry for this horrific event, and I don't know the other shot person's name, but so thank you for that. And I want to have a word or two on sick of getting lied to. I worry that you're too stoic. Of course we get lied to, Peter, but if we focus on that Mr. Boyles, I'd rather call you Mr. Boyles. You're my senior, not by a lot, but by enough.
Hey, you works.
And I want to call you Professor Boyles, because I worry that your show only invites wonkish people, and some of your callers are so talented and detailed.
No, I think that people play up to their level. I'm a great believer in that this is you and I to talk this way as we get ready to the break. But I think people play to a level. And if you want to do a radio show on, what's your favorite side dish at the Thanksgiving Day, no, I'm serious about this. And taking nothing, you can do talk radio that way. Or you can say, have you ever read Legacy of Ashes and what the CIA did? And which of those two approaches carry more impact to you and to your family? And
did you ever read Decision Points from George Bush?
Oh yeah,
I never did.
No, listen. That whole nonsensical, and like I said this morning when he's on that ranch in Crawford, Texas, cutting brush, I wonder how he feels about that young woman whose life was taken. And he plays out. And you're on hold, brother. Put him on hold. We'll bring him back on the other side. Then 9 a.m. straight ahead. And then we got another hour. Then we're back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.